Hello, everyone. I'm James Milan. Welcome to this town hall update. I am speaking with our town manager, Adam Chapdelaine. You may notice that Adam's image is slightly darker than we would like. We made our efforts to correct that. We couldn't, and what matters is what Adam has to say anyway. So thanks, Adam, for joining us as always.
My pleasure, and maybe my face in the dark is a blessing for today's viewers.
Way to make lemonade. Okay, so I know we've got a bunch of topics to talk about today. I know you've been working with many constituents on how the town plans to spend the $35 million in ARPA funds, that's American Rescue Plan Act, and also known as the Arlington ARPA framework. So can you just fill us in on what progress, give us a progress report on where that stands?
Absolutely. So I know we've spoken about it, I think, a few times on our biweekly check-ins, but I think it's important to keep talking about it because of the scope and potential impact of the use of these funds. So 2 weeks ago now, we presented a continually updated framework to the select board that had previously, back in the beginning of August, been presented to the community, updated based on community feedback, conducted a public comment period along with a virtual town forum that all led to that first presentation to the select board. So that was 2 weeks ago. We heard a good deal of feedback from the select board. I'll be bringing back the framework to the board next week on Wednesday, on October 13th, for presentation and further feedback and comment from the board. And my hope is to then take that, make further updates, bring it back on October 25th for what would hopefully be something close to a final endorsement from the board. And when I say final, I mean there are some things in the plan that are very well vetted, very well documented, and ready to roll, like tenant assistance, like small business assistance, because those are programs that we've already run with CARES Act money from earlier in the pandemic. And those are monies that we really want to get on the street to help people that are in need as soon as possible. There's other things that are part of the plan, like affordable housing investments, homelessness investments, that I am looking for support from a categorical or allocation point of view, but that once we get that endorsement, we'll need to do more work on to actually develop the plans for what exactly that spending will be. And we'll certainly come back to the board for more discussion about that. So I would say, we're looking for endorsement / guidance for being able to move forward on the multitude of things that we're looking at expending funds on under the ARPA framework. In terms of what's changed, there was a lot of attention paid, understandably, to premium pay for town workers that put themselves in harm's way throughout the course of the pandemic in terms of risk of transmission. So I've made some alterations that I'm still refining for next Wednesday in terms of making sure we're properly investing in premium pay. There's been significant comments about wanting to properly invest in affordable housing. So I am working through some changes that would increase the proposed investments to affordable housing. I'm looking at food security, potentially making some changes there. I'm looking at whether or not we'll carve out specific funding out of the small business assistance for arts-based nonprofits in the community. I'm looking at whether or not we think it'll be eligible or that spending on translation services and community outreach will be eligible expenditures. So there will be some changes that are presented next week to the board that will likely change again before the 25th. And I hope that all cumulatively is evidence that we're trying to create a responsive plan that looks at what the community needs, responds to community needs, and then makes investments to hopefully meet those community needs. So more to come, but I think it's important for people watching this to understand it's a work in progress. We're committing a lot of time and effort to it. And even though the public comment period is closed, if anybody has thoughts, comments, or questions, they always can reach out to me, to either provide comment or see if there's any questions that I can answer.
Thanks for that update, Boy. Lots there for people to chew on and perhaps, in fact, deliver you some feedback around. On another topic, I see that the town clerk has reported that the Massachusetts State Attorney General's office approved the changes in town and zoning bylaws that town meeting had voted on earlier this spring. with a couple of exceptions. So there was Article 14, which relates to gutters in historic districts, and Article 15, which is a domestic partnership article. So while the AG's office has another 60 days to review, I'm wondering what you can tell us about why you think these two have been held for further review.
So thank you for that prompt. And I think it is important to let residents know that the bulk of bylaw changes have been passed. They'll be advertised in the Advocate, the full text available on the town's website. But then they will soon go into effect after that posting period is closed. To the question about why those two haven't passed, my best guess, I would say, around domestic partnerships in particular, is that it's novel. I know other cities have passed similar ordinances, but the Attorney General's office doesn't review city ordinances. They only review town bylaws. So I'm not positive of it, but I think this might be the first time the Attorney General is considering a town bylaw on this matter. So given that, I'm not yet concerned that there's a problem. I think this is a matter of it just being novel and the Attorney General wanting to make sure that they give it its fullest review possible before coming down either in support of or opining against it going into effect. In terms of the gutters, I have to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what's holding it up. We were on a department heads meeting this morning providing the same update and had a chuckle about sort of the broad spectrum of issues that are the AG's office has asked for more time on, right? Ranging from historic gutters all the way to domestic partnerships. But I don't have concern that it won't be passed. And we have a good relationship with the municipal law unit at the Attorney General's office. And if they're saying they need more time, there's no benefit to us to not grant them that more time to hopefully get to a positive outcome.
Yeah, that's a mysterious one. I think you've probably hit the nail on the head in terms of the domestic partnerships, which is a very innovative and novel, as you said, idea. So that all makes sense. Anyway, also approved by town meeting this spring was the recognition of Indigenous Peoples Day, which is coming up this weekend, and Arlington will celebrate it on Monday, October 11th. Can you tell us if any events are planned for the weekend?
So I'll say first, we're very excited that this is the first year that we'll be formally celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day. Obviously, as you said, Select Board, Human Rights Commission, town meeting, adopting those changes this past year. And I know the Human Rights Commission and the DEI coordinator have been putting a lot of effort into what the right acknowledgement or celebration would be. And the latest efforts have actually had us cooperating with the city of Newton, who is putting on a very large event. Part of that is tied in with the fact that the marathon is coming through Newton that day and wanting to not have the marathon take attention away from a celebration of Indigenous Peoples Day. So final details are being worked out. But I think what we will soon be able to announce is that Arlington residents will be welcomed to attend the event in Newton. And we're potentially trying to figure out the ways to live stream that event for Arlington residents to be able to participate. And a lot of this has been grounded in the fact that putting together a meaningful event has been challenging, not just for Arlington, but we've learned from communities across the region. So Newton has been able to put together what at least seems to be it's going to be a very meaningful event, and partnering with them seems like a great idea. I've spoken to the mayor. She's very supportive of the idea. I know our Human Rights Commission leaders have been speaking to the committee leaders and organizers in Newton, and I think we'll have something to announce in that regard very soon.
Well, just as you were saying about domestic partnerships, this is again something new, and so
Yes.
we need to figure things out as we move along. But glad to hear that there are plans, and that we will soon find out what way we may be able to commemorate this important occasion. Last thing, in the past, we've spoken about a number of major projects that were either about to start or had just started. And in the last few weeks, just anybody moving through town can see that there's an awful lot of them going on. So can you give us a kind of just a brief list and overview of the major projects and what their current status is?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think this is one of the most exciting parts of this job, when you can see things that you and or your team have planned for a long time coming to fruition. So I'd start with Whittemore Park, right in the center of town. Long discussed phase 1 renovation that is just now coming to a close. I believe the construction fences will be taken down next week. And I really invite anybody to go down and take a look. Beautiful new lawn, new plantings, new pathways, new benches, new lighting, refurbished train tracks, really creating a more accessible, welcoming, comfortable space for people to gather right in the center of town. I know there's some photos that will be available. I walked by. It's beautiful. I mean, it really is beautiful. And there's more to come in the future with phases 2 and 3, which will further improve accessibility around the Whittemore Robbins House. But this phase 1 is really going to provide an improvement in Arlington Center. And I think residents will really like what they see being able to check that out. Moving a little bit further west up the avenue, the Arlington Town Hall Plaza project is nearing completion. If you haven't seen that, we've resurfaced, we've re-leveled all of the granite slabs right next to Town Hall, and we've poured a new exposed concrete with brick trim in the front of Town Hall, replacing the very aged brick that was there. I think it's aesthetically really, really attractive. And from an accessibility point of view, once again, much better accessibility, far reduced tripping hazards. So I think we've created a really nice space for events to happen in the front of Town Hall. And the best part, the secret part is we've put radiant heating under all of it to reduce the use of the corrosive chemicals that we need to use to de-ice and de-snow during the winter. So once the winter comes in, we'll be able to have a nice, clean, accessible, safe entrance for all those coming to Town Hall to access town services. Beyond that, both the Public Works project is kicking off as well as work at Wellington Park. I should have put those wells back to back, right across the street on Grove Street. You can see if you go down Grove Street, the old salt shed has been removed, and there is excavation starting, getting ready to put in the new building, the new DPW building on Grove Street. And right across the street, Wellington Park work is taking place, expanding the pathways, expanding access to the Millbrook, and improving the Millbrook along Wellington Park. And so good work has been done there as well. Come back down the avenue a little bit east, you can see the high school project is moving with great speed. Every day I drive by, I can't believe what I'm seeing with the brick facade and the building really getting closed in, the work being done inside. That project is really moving along very well. So anybody who hasn't been down the avenue lately, going down and taking a look at what's happening at the high school, I think you'd be really impressed with what you'll see. And then finally, great work has taken place down at the Arlington Reservoir to create a path, contiguous path around the reservoir, safe, accessible path for people to access. I know I've walked many times around that reservoir, and some pieces of the path previously were great. Others, you definitely had to have your hiking boots on. And now we've got a really accessible path, great recreational amenity for people of all ages and mobilities to be able to get around and really see one of the maybe sometimes underappreciated but great parts of Arlington down at the reservoir. So lots going on. Some things coming near completion, some things just getting started, but town employees hard at work, tax dollars hard at work, and we hope we're just continuing to increase the quality of life for folks living here in Arlington through these projects.
Town manager hard at work, because that was a nice, concise, but nonetheless thorough listing of a number of different projects that, as you said, people just looking around as they move through town are going to be seeing changes on almost a daily or certainly weekly basis at these various sites. So we really look forward. I'm sure I speak on behalf of most Arlington residents. We look forward to the eventual completion of all of these and to enjoying the benefits thereof for a long, long time thereafter. All right. Thank you so much, Adam. This was a chock-a-block, content-rich. They all are, but particularly this one. So thanks for sharing all of this information. We wish you a happy Indigenous Peoples weekend, and we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. I have, of course, been speaking with our town manager for this town hall update. His name, Adam Chapdelaine, mine, James Milan. Thanks for joining us, all of you out there, and we'll see you next time.